Hey guys, what's up? Shoutstar here again, and I got something new for you guys. About almost 2 weeks ago, I did a video for Paul's Hardware, and pretty much the effect was this effect here, kind of like an electrical transition with both Kyle and their friend Paul, was it Josh from Fractal Design here. So yeah, I like the look of it. It came out pretty good. It was pretty fun. Originally, what I wanted to do was show you how to do that, but I didn't want to use his footage because the way how I see it, every footage is different. So I wanted to like use my own footage here. And the worst case scenario in this case, what I did was, what is it? I just basically took two pictures, one with a skull and a background, right? Just handheld, and I try to match it and whatnot. And I was trying to like transition like the skull to like appear right, but yeah, it didn't come out too good. So I kind of gave up. I was like, it looks like shit. Another thing that I messed up on was I used a white background here, so you can't really see any like the transparent lights here, kind of like how you can with Paul's video here, because his background is pretty dark, right? So that made a difference. There is definitely a lot that went into this, a lot of pre-compositions within pre-compositions and all that. So basically what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to show you how to get this overall look. As you can see here in the close, pretty much I did like a edge finder, and then I inverted it and did like all this crazy like neon glow look. Now with the outlines here, like the electrical outlines that go around Kyle and Josh, like as you can see here, basically what I used was Video Copilot's free plugin, the Saber plugin. Yeah, I'll have a link to this tutorial or to this page. That way you can download the plugin here, and also you can watch the tutorial, and pretty much you can follow along. And yeah, you guys get to experiment with that. So since my attempt to recreate this tutorial basically failed, I said, fuck, what else can I do? Because I don't know, I kind of have some free time here to kill. So basically, I came up with this actually, and yeah, I kind of like the overall look of it. I like that retro look to it, and also like the cool thing is you can animate pretty much the color scheme. So as you can see here on the background, because the wall has a texture to it, pretty much it finds the edges, and you're able to like create this cool little pattern. This blue mat that the skull is on, also it messes around, changes the color of the shadows and whatnot. So as you watch this tutorial, try to figure out what else could you do with this method. I mean, don't just look at the overall result and just be like, oh yeah, the skull and glows or whatever the fuck. Just try to follow along and see how else you're able to use this method to your advantage. Maybe you like to make gifs, or you want to use a background, or you just like this retro look or whatever. So I'm gonna show you how to make this. Alright, so here's my picture of a skull, with nothing. So pretty much the first thing I want to do is start naming my layers. So that's a good habit to have. Always name your layers. So basically, the first thing I want to do here is find edges. Drop that into your effects. Now I hit invert. And that by itself actually looks kind of cool, The kind of reason why I use my skull here, because I got this from like a Halloween store, and I just like the look of it. And it does have a lot of textures, like the burn marks and all that. So the more textures or the more detail, I guess your surface may have, like the better it's gonna look, right? So okay, so once you get that done, look up curves, drop that in there. I'm gonna show you something. Okay, usually this is kind of like, I'm sure everybody made the mistake. Say you drop this, then you increase this by accident, you have kind of an inverted look, Now, however, depending where you put the curves in the hierarchy of your effects panel here, you see you put on top of fine edges, it dramatically changes the look of things. So that's something you got to keep in mind of, how you mess with things. I mean, like I said, that by itself looks pretty cool, but I want to show you something else. So put that on top of there. That by itself, like I said, it looks pretty awesome. Let me increase the shadows. So basically I'm increasing the shadows, and I'm decreasing the highlights. It's creating kind of a x-ray look. Let's see. So that looks cool. Let's see. We can start messing with the colors. Let's make this more of a, red. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Let's see, let's drop the greens, see what happens. Alright. Yeah, right on. I'm freestyling this, so yeah, like I said, you guys gotta have to mess with it, get your own look. Yeah, actually I'm liking the look of that. Alright, that's done. I'll duplicate this guy. Selected, go to edit. Now duplicate. Now this layer I'm gonna rename it to the what I like to call the add layer. I actually have a tutorial about using what I call add layers, so be sure to check that out. So with this thing, what I do is basically I hit add for the mode here, and then I use a fast blur for the glow. Let's see, hit repeat edge pixels, and then once you increase the blur, you can see what's going on. So maybe want to increase the glow a bit more. So let's get another curves. So let's move it up here on top of the fast blur, see what happens. Move it on top of the fine edges. So yeah, like I said, this is pretty much the thing about this technique. You gotta mess around with like the hierarchy of things, see what you like and don't like. Yeah, I'm liking that. So the good thing about using this add layer is that you can control it using the transparency in case it was too much. Alright, so not a bad of a start. Right click, go to new, let's do adjustment layer. On this one, let's see, let's add another glow. Yeah, I like glows. Too much glows. Add another glow. And then just mess around with it. It's way too much. See, let's hit this. Try lighten. Nah, don't like it. Let's set this to add. Same thing. Just drop down the opacity until you find something you like. Alright, so leave that at 60. Alright, so then one more. Let's do an adjustment layer. And this one I'm going to call it, let's see, just CC for color correction. Now you can use whatever you want, but let's try vibrance. I like the vibrance. There's a Video Copilot one that's a free plugin as well. But I'm trying to use pretty much all the free filters as much as possible. So yeah, it's cool. Alright, yeah, I'm liking that. Like I said, there's the Video Copilot color vibrance is pretty cool, but what it does, it kind of like makes everything more of a solid color. So yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of like the look of that. Should drop down the transparency a bit. Cool. You can mess with the modes here, see what you guys like. You find something trippy. I'm actually kind of liking the color burn here. So far so good. And just for shits and giggles, let's add another adjustment layer. I'm gonna call this one the master. So this one, let's put a main curve so that way it controls everything. Let's see, increase the highlights a bit. Let's see, let's drop down the reds a tad. Just mess around with other colors just cause. And cool. Now, the cool thing about this method is that you can animate it. Say you find like something like, right? So I went to like the original 2 layers and I kind of animated like the curves on those, say on the base skull and the add layer. So let's start with the add layer. So let's go to the top curves here. Animate that. Go on the bottom. Start messing with settings. Like I said, I'm just freestyling this. I really have no fucking direction on what I'm doing. Alright, now let's pre-render that. Alright, there we go. That's more of what I was looking for. Alright, so yeah, like when messing around, you can mess around with the master, but if you want to have more of a results on like the change of color and patterns and all that, mess with the add layer or with like the base skull. The curves of these 2 main layers, right, where pretty much most of the action is. Because what happens is, when you change the curve settings for these 2 layers, pretty much they actually has the picture in it, right? Pretty much it changes the tones between the colors. So like the colors between, say, the jaw, the shadow, and the matte. You mess with the curves here, you animate it. Pretty much you're animating all these curves, you know, the shadows, the highlights, and whatnot. So pretty much that's pretty much what you're seeing here. So yeah, there you go. I mean, if you like to make GIFs, or, you know, like I said, if you want to like have a background with some trippy, you know, looks, you know, as long as you have some crazy textures and whatnot, say like the mat here or the wall, then you can use this method to like animate it and, you know, do something cool looking, you know. My tutorials are basically aiming to do something that's not common. I mean, there's a lot of tutorials out there to make things look as realistic as possible. I'm not interested in making things look realistic. I like abstract art and whatnot, and just stuff that's different. I like that. That's just me, right? So yeah, this is Shao Style, and like hopefully you can learn something from this, you know. Like I said, don't just like, you know, look at the skull and be like, yeah, it looks stupid. But like I said, pay attention to like the patterns, the way how the color changes from the matte to the skull, how the colors change in the background. I mean, I'm sure you can use this in some other manner. I mean, I have, but using this method is pretty much how I created this, you know. And like a lot of people did like the look of my video that I did for Paul here. So I mean, little things like this is pretty much what eventually ends up you doing something similar to this, if not better, right? So, you know, learn what works for you and then move on and then improve it. And then once you learn something new, you know, share it with us. All right, this video is going long enough, so I'm going to keep it short. Thanks again for watching and take care. Peace.